Very good afternoon to everyone. We're very excited that we have a very good turnout for this exciting topic of a webinar today that's on hydroponics, a future of urban farming. So before we start the webinar, I'd like to give you all the instructions as usual. Please keep your audio and video off at all times so that it doesn't disturb the speaker. We will then have the speaker presenting his presentation, and we will take all your questions in the Q&A session after the presentation. So if you have any queries or any questions for the speaker, please drop it in the chat box so that I can relay the questions to the speaker, and we will take it after the presentation. So let's move on to the very exciting webinar that we have planned ahead. Let me introduce you to our very eminent speaker today, that is Dr. Praveen Singh. Dr. Praveen Singh is an agriculture professional with 18 plus years of professional experience in different fields of agriculture sector. He started his career as a consultant to European Commission project and followed by British High Commission project in the field of rural development. From rural development, he diversified his professional journey and joined a corporate, that is Tata Chemicals Limited. He served at different roles and locations for ensuring desired outcome in different projects and responsibilities. He was one of the founding members of customized fertilizer team at Tata Chemicals and contributed significantly for the development of customized fertilizer, branded compost, and outsourced farm services. His professional journey also includes exposure to Africa, where he was responsible for corporate farming and leased 25,000 hectares of land from Ethiopian government. He also worked with National Horticulture Research and Development Foundation as joint director and has managed the seed business and development activities. For the past 8 to 10 years, he has been significantly contributing for the development of the hydroponic growing system in India. He has initiated and delivered hydroponic projects at DS Group and Dower Group. He is a proud Khetibadiwala and puts his best effort for developing hydroponic growing systems as a successful growing system for meeting the needs of the urban population in India. So welcome Praveen sir to this webinar, and it's over to you now.
Yes, now it is good. So thank you very much for giving an opportunity to interact with such a lovely diversified kind of a audience. And when your audience is somehow of a different background, so for a speaker it is a little bit more challenge. So anyway, I'll try to handle that challenge because today we are going to talk about this hydroponics. And most of the guys in an urban area is now looking for this opportunity, whether for their own purpose or for a commercial production as an entrepreneurial venture. So the allotted time is such that I'll try to take you around something, the basics of hydroponics, and it is not possible to capture and deliver everything within that short period of time. Definitely, I'll try my best to share whatever I can, and I'll just try to satisfy your expectation. So very welcome to learn on hydroponics and to understand that this is the future for your urban farming. So today I'll talk about some history, and then the most common question, that what is the difference between hydroponic and traditional farming, and why hydroponics is required, and what is basically the hydroponics, and what are the different types of hydroponics, what crops we can grow, what are the advantages and disadvantages of hydroponics, the myth around the hydroponics, scenario of a global hydroponics and Indian hydroponics, and challenges in hydroponic, and steps for becoming a hydroponic entrepreneurs, and hydroponic strategies, and a little bit I'm going to talk about the nutrient management also. So the first thing is the history. So it is very, very interesting that the existence of this method of crop production or a crop growing was older than your traditional farming. So that was also shocking for me once I started understanding this hydroponics. So whatever the crop growing in ocean beds, or there are different examples like Seven Wonder of Unseen Wonder of the World, like Babylon Hanging Gardens, and in Mexico also there are some examples. So yeah, it is proven that this as a growing crop growing is older than your traditional farming, but as a technology, as a growing technique, in past 2 decades, this technology is taking something lead, and specifically for developed countries and in Indian or developing countries in an urban area. So yeah, the existence of hydroponic is quite old, but the technique as a growing technique, past 2 decades, it is becoming popular. So let's understand what is the difference between traditional farming and hydroponics. So if we talk about traditional farming, so traditional farming also required air, water, seed, soil, light. If I'm talking about what is the requirement, so investment and a grower. If we talk about it required operations like tillage, seeding, irrigation, plant protection, weeding, harvesting, post-harvest storage. So all these things are a lower level of automation is required for traditional farming, like drip irrigation. These are the things people are using. Average skill means if the grower is having a average skill also, so he can practice this traditional farming, because there is a soil which is working as a buffering agent. So average qualitative and quantitative return is, in comparison to hydroponic, is average. It is not something like you are getting a higher productivity and better quality, but in hydroponic, if you see, everything is the same, like the requirement. The only change is the soil is missing, and the grower level and investment requirement is a bit higher side. If we talk about the operations, so weeding and tillage operation is missing, because that is not at all required in hydroponics. Higher degree of automation is always required, and there is a potential and chances that you can operate your farm as an autopilot mode. And as the soil, which is the buffering agent in traditional farming, is absent in hydroponics, so the required skill is very high. So skilled resources can only take up this challenge. So higher qualitative and quantitative return is possible by hydroponics. So you will get a better return in terms of a productivity, also in terms of a quality also. So again, the question comes, why hydroponics? So maybe just leaving all these what I listed here, if I start from what the major impact because of this COVID pandemic has happened in agri value chain. So the most critical and crucial thing was everything was happening there. Means the grower in an urban area, the growers were growing their crop, and in an urban area, the people were consuming there. Because of this pandemic, the connect between urban and rural economy was missing, and because of that, both of the stakeholders were struggling. Even the farmers were not able to sell their produce, and the urban population were facing difficulty to get a quality produce. So what the option left? We need to have an option for growing some of these crops in our means compact area of your urban life or urban livelihood. And hydroponic is a technique which enables you to do that. And you can see that how much impact you can create by just growing your own requirement. Not only that, your kids will be excited to see that how the plants are growing, and your elderly family members will get a quality engagement. So next, if I talk about the output quality deterioration, if means most of these urban living population, they are aware that whatever they are eating, they are not sure that what they are eating, whether it is healthy for their consumption or it is not, they don't know, because there is no yardstick to test that. And I'm sure that you all are aware that whenever we are exporting any agri commodity, we need to fulfill the minimum standards. So somehow that is the means somehow policy advocacy required from for the government, or for government to think that creating that yardstick to assess the quality of a fresh vegetable and fruit. But if you don't have that, the option left is you can create your own hydroponic setup at your own small space and start producing something where you are 100% sure that what is the quality. So that's how the hydroponic is required. And now people are aware, means becoming more aware about the quality of produce, and they are also ready to pay for that higher quality or a better assured quality. So that is also one option and one opportunity that this hydroponics can be taken as either a hobby or as an entrepreneurial venture. If we talk about agriculture resource, deteriorating soil quality and resource constraint, because the most of the soil in and around urban population or urban area are either a landfill area or they have been irrigated with the sewage water. So the quality is such that whenever there is any produce coming out of those land resources, then it is having those heavy metals or harmful chemical absorbed in those produce, and that is going to enter in your food chain. And another thing is expectation and requirement. So the food demand is expanding and the pressure on rural production is high. So can we do some contribution for that? Have a small unit at your own place and start producing some of your requirement. So talking about this hydroponic, what is hydroponic? Your understanding is absolutely right. Growing crop without soil or growing crop in water is hydroponics. But it is beyond that. What is that? It is everything linked with the root. This hydroponic technique is only related to the root. Means if you talk about the plant part, there is an above ground part and there is a below ground part. So hydroponic is only a technique which enables the grower to create a better microclimate around the root zone. And if the root zone is healthy, and roots are the mouth for your plant, and if the mouth is healthy, then definitely the crop is going to be healthy and the productivity is going to be higher. So after understanding what is hydroponics, let's understand that different types of hydroponics. So if we talk about based on the growing condition, we can classify this hydroponics. Based on nutrient circulation also, we can classify this environment. So based on the growing condition, there is a soilless hydroponics, and there is a nutrient film technique where the growing in a thin nutrient film in grow channels and even in pipes also, though pipes are not recommended for a commercial projects, but hobby purpose you can use. But even then, if you can get a channel, it is always better to grow channels. And then the deep water culture, where the depth of that water which is around the root is always higher. So that's the basic difference between NFT and DWC. But the selection of these two is why these two is divided into two different techniques is based on the extreme weather condition. If the weather or temperature extreme, both low and high, is there, so in that case the deep water culture is always the temperature is same around the year, so NFT is always preferred. However, nowadays people are using NFT in extreme weather condition with additional cooling facility or heating facility. So yes, NFT is easier to handle and better to manage. So coming back to different types of soilless hydroponics. So soilless hydroponics, there is something in grow bags, and grow bags is also in an individual grow bags or in a pallet form. And then there is a turf, there is a trenches, there is a Dutch bucket. The only thing is, in soilless growing condition or soilless hydroponics, whatever the growing media you are using, that need to be inert. Inert means they don't they should not have any potential to supply plant nutrient, because that is the somehow premises, or that is the basic requirement for hydroponics, that the grower have a better control on the growing system. Whatever he is going to do, that is only these plants are going to get. So means in a normal daily routine example, they don't have any option to go for a junk food. So what the grower will feed, they will eat that much only. So if we are feeding healthy, then they will be healthy and happy. And if we are not doing that, so they will show and they will ask you. So you need to be capable enough talking to your plant. So talking means not literally, by just visually looking those plants, you can get that whether my plant is happy or not. So that's the level of skill required. So as per a nutrient circulation, if I talk about the whole hydroponic systems can be divided into two parts. One is an open system, another is a closed system. So open system is those systems where the excess irrigation water or excess nutrient water is leached and absorbed there in the soil. But in a closed hydroponic system, the leached and excess water is going to recirculate, and the excess water is always efficiently utilized in that. But it is always tricky, because you need to maintain the desired nutrient combination as well as ECPH. So yes, it is always efficient, but it required a further high degree of a skill. Then based on the light requirement, one is a natural light hydroponic and then artificial light hydroponic. So indoor is there. So the next question comes that what are the crops we can grow? So there are some crops which are very well established in this growing system. There are some crop which is under trial, but there are some crops which need to be considered or which is having a potential to come in hydroponics. If we talk about the established crop, so cucumber, tomato, capsicum, these are very, very well known crops grown in hydroponics. Leafy vegetable like lettuce, basil, kale, arugula, all the leafy vegetables are very good in hydroponic NFT or deep water culture. Flowers are also being grown in hydroponic conditions. So like rose, zerbera, lilium, these are the very well established. So you can get some literature around these crops, but yeah, mind it, don't try to copy paste, because the hydroponic is a system which required a calibration, and each and every project is a unique project. So the option of a copy paste is not at all there. So some of the trial crop like essential oil bearing crop, what we tried at the DS group, like damask rose, jasmine, saffron, and even in established crop, one crop is there, the strawberries, and even strawberries are established crop, and blueberries are under trial. And having said all these things, what is the somehow basic? Any crop can be grown in hydroponic crop production system. So even the orchard crop can also be grown, like mango, guava, anything can be grown in hydroponics. But you need to have the crop production protocol, which is the software. If I talk about hydroponic is having two components. One is a hardware, which include all the infrastructures like greenhouse, irrigation system, fogging system, fertigation system, and everything comes under growing system, comes under infrastructure is a hardware. And the software is how to grow your crop. What crop, at what time, what variety, what should be the nutrient combination, what should be the irrigation cycle. So these two components of hydroponics, they ultimately contribute for the success of any hydroponic projects. And the contribution of these two is 80-20. 80% comes from software, how to grow your crop. And 20% comes from the hardware, the right infrastructure. So again, coming back to any crop can be grown in hydroponic crop production system, provided you have that ready, either ready software, means how to grow a crop, or you need to develop that protocol, the crop production protocol, which is software. So what are the advantages? I think most of the guys, they know that what are the advantages. Efficient resource utilization means, within a 1 meter square area, there is a potential that you can get a very high return. Like in my case, lettuce, we are growing 23, even sometime it is 22 to 23 cycles of lettuce a year. And we are growing 34 plants per meter square area. And just for your information, we are selling those plants at of around 15 rupees per plant. But yes, for that, you need to do product innovation, which is really missing link for any agriculture production system or any commercial venture which is into production. So until and unless you do innovation, the product innovation, you present your product in such a way that the customers should be delighted to pay more, and we managed to achieve that. So one thing is very clear: whenever you are going for a commercial venture, you need to do a product innovation. So better control, yes, it is 100% control with the grower. Better return, yes, as I mentioned, you can estimate yourself. Fast growth, yes, definitely. If you as a good grower, if you are able to maintain a healthy root, healthy microclimate around the root, then definitely the crop growth is going to be faster. Zero weeds, there is a no issue, which is somehow is a major issue in a traditional farming, the weed. But here we don't have any weed. Superior quality, yes, provided you are doing your operation skillfully. I'm just mentioning because skill is very important. Otherwise, you will not be able to get a superior quality. Even I can share that we fortified our lettuce with iron. That was 300% higher than your spinach. So all those possibilities are there. The innovation is required. Grow in any condition, yes. Whether the soil is good, whether the climate is not there, but you can grow in hydroponics. Limited growing area. If you go with the multi-layer, then definitely you can convert that particular area into 4 times, 5 times. So it depends on how efficiently you want to do that. The disadvantages, which is at present in developing countries, it is reality. Yes, high capital cost is there, high skill requirement. So this is somehow undoubtedly. But first is somehow is restricted to developing countries in Europe and all, where they are getting much higher return. For them, the initial capex cost is also not an issue. Lack of a buffering agent, that is a soil, because the soil is missing. So you have to be a very particular and very specific and precise when you are doing your operation. Only quality input is required in this. So I think you agree, if you are investing such a huge investment, then always look for a quality inputs. So some of the myths around the hydroponics. So what is that? Growing crop in water is only hydroponics. So that myth I have broken in the beginning only. It is not only the water is the crop grown only in water is hydroponic, but soil-less media, but inert media. They must not have any potential to supply crop nutrient. Hydroponic crop production can only be done under protected cultivation. So again, the protected cultivation is not that is somehow it is going together, or it is a mandatory thing. Suppose you want to have a small unit at your own balcony, then there is no need for putting a greenhouse. So this greenhouse means maintaining a microclimate around the shoot is the requirement when you are looking for producing off-season crop. And most of the cases, people are doing that. That's how this myth is being built up. Hydroponic is not a natural technique. So people are saying that it's something like hawa mein kheti kar rahe hain. This is not a natural technique. However, what is the reality? The plant, as we eat food, plant also want the food. Whether that food is coming through a chemical fertilizer, or it is coming through soil, or it is coming through water, the plant, they don't have any sense organ. They cannot differentiate. So we are doing all those natural things. So it is a myth that this technique is not a natural technique. And another myth is the hydroponic degrades environment. So it is a myth only, because if you see, we are growing more plant per meter square area, means more leaf area, means more oxygen production, more air purification. Then how can be this hydroponic is a degrading environment? So hydroponics makes use of a light that is harmful. So if we talk about the light is in three parts. One is infrared, another is photosynthetic active radiation, which is PAR, and then ultraviolet rays. So whether it is traditional or hydroponics, the plant only absorbs photosynthetically active radiation. So there is no question that plant is absorbing UV, ultraviolet light, or infrared light. So hydroponic can be practiced indoor only. So that myth also I just broke at the beginning only. Indoor and outdoor, without even the protected environment, you can do hydroponic. Hydroponic technique is nothing. It's a creating better microclimate around the root zone. So there is no linkage, whether it is indoor, outdoor, or in natural environment. It is not at all linked with the hydroponics. It is based on the requirement only people are doing. Hydroponic is an expensive technique. Yes, up to some extent in India or in developing countries, at the moment it is yes, but there is an indigenization is required. The moment it will become an indigenized technique, then yeah, definitely the cost is going to be something much lower. Hydroponic is difficult to practice. This is the one thing which I should not say that it is a myth at the moment. In India, this skill requirement is really high, and people are struggling just because of this lack of skill. Most of the Indian project, they are struggling because of this skill set is missing. If the skill set is there, so maybe he's coming from the soil background, doing the traditional farming. Maybe if he's a good at a production, so he's not good at a marketing. So that's somehow skill is really required for a hydroponic projects. So yeah, scenario is future is really good. So growth and everything is happening in this sector. In India also, if you talk about Delhi only as an metro city, good number of a project is already in operation. But yes, they all are in initial stage, and people who have a surplus money, they are the owner of that. But what I'm saying, why you are looking for that? If you can just create a small unit by yourself, and it is, believe me, it is not the rocket science. So at least I'm always available to take you through this journey, and we can together make a small prototype for your own home for a hobby purpose. So start from there and you will enjoy growing the crop. So yes, the scenario is really good. Future is bright for this technology. The challenges is somehow in hydroponic is limited information available on a public platform. So issue is that whatever the information is available, that too is not advised to copy and paste. You need to calibrate that. But if we talk about in Indian condition, very limited information, what a grower is looking for. A lot of information is there, but exact information what the grower is looking is somehow missing. Skill resources are limited. High capital cost is becoming a challenge. Product innovation is missing from the guys who are adopting or who are venturing in this. So these are some challenges which need to be overcome for expanding this technology. So, okay. Now, if you want to start, whether it is a hobby or it is a commercial project, from where you should start this whole thing. So the first thing you should start with, what crop? Identify your crop. If you are doing a commercial, get that information from the market. If you are doing for your hobby, then you have to ask your home ministry or a kitchen that what you are looking for. Once you decide that, yeah, this is my crop, then what is the crop's climatic requirement? So you have to understand that what is required for that particular crop. Once you identify that, identify the hydroponic system that cannot be met by NFT or deep water culture. Even in Dutch bucket also, it sometimes create a trouble. So based on that crop, only you have to select the hydroponic growing system. And suppose you are selecting lettuce, then it is an NFT channel you have to go for. And here I like to just give you an idea that why you should not go for a pipe. In a hobby purpose, yes, you can go for a pipe, but in a commercial project, you always go for a channels, the flat bottom channels, because that gives the better root surface area contact. Because this way, if it is a flat, then the root is going to settle on the base and it will be spread and having a better surface area contact with the nutrient water. But if it is this way, the root is going to be at the bottom of that pipe and the surface area will become a challenge, and that will impact your crop. Coming back to this, the moment you identify your growing system, then you have to identify the hardware required. Hardware required is how, means what all the greenhouse is required. If yes, you want to produce based on your production cycle, what is the target, off season or season? If season, there is no need for a protected environment, but if it is a off season, then you need to go for a protected environment. So you need to understand the hardwares, means what are the infrastructure is required, whether it is a hobby or a commercial, then you have to list down. Once you list down, then you start installing that pilot project. For the commercial, it is a pilot, and for a hobby, yes, go for installing that small unit by yourself maybe. And then you have to develop your software, how to grow a crop, maybe 1 or 2 seasons, you have to 2 cycles, you have to develop your protocol that how to grow your crop. Once you are established that a product development is also one part for a commercial, once you are ready with that software that yes, I can grow my crop, then only you enter for a commercial project. Okay, so this is something like the steps you can follow for setting up a hydroponic project. And if we talk about the strategy for a hydroponic commercial project, so you need to have a mix of innovative exotic vegetable with something the normal vegetable, which is the market demand. So if we talk about, you see, this is somehow a different kind of varieties available for even the lettuce. Roman, you can see what is the different varieties. Even in a butterhead and leafy lettuce also, you have a different options. So all these options, these are the 2 varieties which is locally available. So out of our own experience, we listed down that these are some varieties of a lettuce which is doing good. Don't worry, you are going to get that presentation from the organizers, so need not to focus on that part. Mix of unique crop varieties with the popular varieties. Like if you see these type of a different cherry tomatoes are there, but the most common is this or this. Because even the cherry tomatoes is also of a 2 types, sour and sweet. So you have to be aware about what is the market requirement, and maybe 90% you grow these, but 10% you grow these. So by that you can retain your customer with you, because he is going to get these product outside, but he cannot get these product beyond your farm. So that's the way your strategy should be. And these are some more unique varieties of capsicum. Here, what I just tried to give you a brief about the companies operating, the seed companies operating in this venture, because seed is really crucial for any growing system, and you have to look for the best variety and best crop source of these seeds. So seed is a foundation for your growing system. So identify, don't something like compromise on the quality of seeds. So these are some different companies, varieties. So I'll just run through with this. You can get a glimpse, and later on you can. So these are some of these companies and the crops they are doing. You can also visit this Johnny Seeds for maybe commercial purpose. You can see a wide varieties of things they have, like 144. Even last time when I was visiting their website, it is a 156 varieties of lettuce is there, 53 tomatoes varieties, and specialty tomatoes is also there is a 50. So you have to just scout for these things. So variety is really important. Now we are going to touch a little bit on a nutrient management, because it is difficult to just cover everything in such a short duration. So nutrient management, like two is one is closed hydroponic system and another is open hydroponic system. So closed is really a little complicated as compared to the open one, because you need not to just somehow you will not have any kind of a challenge that maintaining that nutrient combination and EC and pH of that water is coming back to your recirculating tank. So open is little easier system, but close is, yes, definitely you have to maintain that. But one thing is very clear: every means a fixed cycle based on your experience, you have to discard the complete nutrient solution. Maybe it is a 15 days, maybe it is a 1 month or whatever, but you have to replace your complete solutions. So basics of nutrient management is for only water soluble fertilizers are recommended, and even in water soluble fertilizer also there are some fertilizers which have a source of a urea or a DAP, which is soil based fertilizer. So that should not be the part of this, because if you are going for that, then definitely there will be a loss of your crop, because the conversion of urea to nitrate, which is the source of fertilizer absorption, there is a nitrite, it required a microbes, and microbes are missing, and nitrite is a toxic for your plants. So only look for a quality water soluble fertilizer. You need to be very clear on fertilizer compatibility. You have to mix only those fertilizers together which are compatible to each other. That's how, if you see in hydroponics, there are 1, 2, 3 different type of tanks. So fertilizer sources also need to be a very authentic. So always look for a quality sources, branded product. Your fertilizer need to be a crop specific, as well as crop within the crop stage specific also. Why? Like I'm giving you an example. Suppose you transplanted your vine crop of cherry tomato. Initially, that cherry tomato required the root development. And phosphorus is the element which is directly contributing for your root development. So at initial stage, the phosphate quantity should be higher. And at the time of flowering, the boron is playing a crucial role for fruit setting, because that contributes for a pollen tube germination. So at that time, you need to increase the boron quantity. So the recipe, the fertilizer nutrient combination need to be crop specific as well as stage specific. Like leafy, different fertilizer, fruiting crop, different fertilizer, within tomato is different, and even cucumber is different. So you need to develop your own hydroponic recipe for your own crop. Efficiently, you need to manage the EC, because electrical conductivity is a direct indicator of your fertilizer solvent concentration, and you need to efficiently manage. And the thumb rule is that you start with the lowest EC where your crop is performing better, and take up to the level where your crop is happy. And you see if any increase is not significantly giving a better productivity or a better impact on your crop, so stop there. There is no need that you follow a strict thumb rule that, okay, I need to supply 2 EC. Maybe somebody else who has recommended he is getting a good crop at a 2. If you can get at 1 EC the same crop, you are saving a half of your fertilizer cost. And cost is very important. And efficient management of a pH, because pH is a parameter. Based on that, this nutrient availability is increase or a decrease for the crop. So always keep your pH towards slightly acidic, means 5.5 to 6.5 is a very good range. So this is the one seed over a period of a time I managed to develop. So maybe this seat is available anytime. Anybody can get that seat. Maybe I have already posted in that group also, Telegram group also. So here, as a grower, you need not to do anything. You have to just change the water quantity as per your requirement, and then you have to set a target EC. And there is only something like you need to alter or change, play with these fertilizer quantities, and you will get everything estimated, even the nutrient combinations, the EC, and even you can get what is the cost of your fertilizer recipe. So this is a brief, but yes, anybody wants or interested to get more information on that, the Excel sheet is there. They can play with their own Excel sheet and get whatever the query is resolved from my side. So the management is fertilizer. If we talk about there is something like urea or DAP is something cheapest source of a nitrogen, but it is not recommended for hydroponic growing system. Even the 1919 is a fertilizer which is a water soluble, but water soluble, being a water soluble also, the 19% of a nitrogen is coming from the urea, and that's how it is not recommended for hydroponic purpose. What are the criteria to select the sources of a nitrogen fertilizer in a hydroponic growing system? So you have to at least make a good balance of an ammoniacal source of a nitrogen as well as a nitrate source of a nitrogen. What would be the ratio of ammoniacal? Is a 90, something like between 80 to 90% is a nitrate, and 10 to 20% should be ammoniacal form. So possible combinations, what you can select as a nitrogenal source is calcium nitrate, 1818, potassium nitrate, and monoammonium phosphate. These are the some possible sources. So with that, I'm done with my presentation, and I would love to have a question.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. That was a very comprehensive presentation. I'm sure a lot of doubts are already cleared. Now I'll take the questions for you one by one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Give me a moment, please.
Sure.
Yeah. So our first question is from Suvra Patnaik, and I'm not very sure whether it's a he or a she. Suvra sounds like a girl. Okay, so I'm really sorry if I get if there's a mistake. Huh? So Suvra wants to know about what is the investment like for a small project or a big project.
Hey, that is a very common question I come across whenever I take any session. So that is a very common question. But see, about this cost, it depends on n number of a factor. So it is not that easy to tell you that exact some ballpark number. Why I'm saying, say for example, you are planning a project for Delhi for around the year of lettuce. So that planning a project in Mumbai around the year of supplying this lettuce. And even in Delhi itself, if you are talking about, yes, I want to get for my little extended period, means maybe if I can grow in an open environment for 6 months, so let me grow for 8 months. So the cost of that is going to be different because the infrastructure is going to be different. So until and unless you decide that what is the crop and what is the production cycle. So it is difficult, but yes, for a hobby purpose, one of my student or person who attended my program, he also developed in a means merely 500 rupees.
Wow.
Yes, he got everything by jugaad and everything, and he developed 20 whole hydroponic NFT unit by only spending 500 rupees. So that's possible.
Yeah, but what would a terrace garden or hydroponic system look for a home kitchen purpose?
Yeah, that's how I'm saying. One need to start learning the whole thing, trying to see that what are the components required, and try to see the Indian adjustment We are very good in adjustment. We know as a jugaad technique. So we need to do that to bring down the cost. Don't ask for any ready-made system cost, because that is going to be way high. If suppose you want to do some 1 meter 5 pipes of a hydroponic, what is the maximum cost? Maybe it is something like 4,000-5,000. That's all. A small pump, a small bucket, some pipes, some drippers and all. That's all. So it is not that costly. Only thing is you need to learn that. And the moment you learn that, definitely you can do a very means, even at 5,000 rupees, you can have a 40 plant setup or 25 plant setup at your balcony or a terrace.
Right.
So that's the possible thing. Yeah.
Okay. Naman Rathod wants to know, he's an undergraduate agriculture student and he wants to pursue his future in hydroponics. What subject should he choose for MSc so that it can help him in hydroponics?
Okay. Basically, if you see, the two most important thing is playing a crucial role in understanding this hydroponics. One is the fertilizer management. Second is the crop physiology. So if you cannot go with this both, maybe you can opt for a soil science, which is covering all the fertilizer management. But yeah, there you need not to go for all the soil parameters. But yes, you need to understand the crop nutrient and fertilizer, plus somehow supportive of a plant physiology. So that this combination is going to give you a fair knowledge about understanding the crop behavior against different environment and nutrition.
Yeah. Okay. He also wants to know, what are the companies that provide job roles in hydroponics?
If we talk about existing companies, there is a good number of companies now popping up. So in the future, till the time you will become ready for the job, you will definitely get a good option for that.
All right.
So if you talk about, yeah, maybe you can just Google out and see that how many companies operating in India. But the best place is maybe the Gulf. They are paying a good amount.
Yeah, the Gulf is doing a very good job in this area. They want to, because most of the food is imported from all the tropical countries in and around. Now they're looking at making themselves self-sufficient, especially after COVID-19. It's been a big challenge because the supply chains were disrupted world over. So yes, that's a very good place to start for job hunting if you are in hydroponics or vertical farming or anything related to that. Yeah.
Even I'll suggest the gentleman why to scout for a job. Why don't you look for a venture?
Yes.
There are people who are ready to invest in this sector, provided you have a sound knowledge of that.
Correct. Yeah, sure. So he also wants to know, how can he do commercial hydroponics at small scale?
Commercial hydroponic at a small scale is very something like a tough challenge you are looking for. But the only thing is, if you are assured about the market, because just before this session only, I was talking to a lady who is in Mumbai. She wanted to go for a 5 setup of around 5 layers for growing leafy vegetable, and she's having the market for a small prototype or something kind of a small commercial hydroponic to begin with, because that is the basics. You start with this small project and expand based on the requirement, but ultimately the thing is start from your market. Be assured about the market, then only you should go for.
Okay. Saurav Jana wants to know more about what is water quality and what can we do about it?
So in hydroponic, I'm sure that she's asking. So considering that, I'm just responding on the question. See, why hydroponic is required? Hydroponic is required to have a better control on the complete growing system. So sometime I used to give some life example, like having a girlfriend lifelong without converting her into a wife. So that's the opportunity this hydroponic provides, because that interruption is not there. So this hydroponic is the requirement is such that there should not be any interference. So if you use a RO water, then you are sure that whatever the water, because ultimately what is the source of contamination? There is only three sources of contamination. One is the groundwater, the soil, the air. The soil you are eliminating, the air you are something like preventing because of the protected cultivation. And if you use a groundwater, then yes, it is possible for a hobby purpose. But if you go for a commercial production, then it is going to interfere in your production system, because you are not sure that what is coming through my water, what nutrient is coming. So you have to all the time adjust your recipe based on what the nutrient inside the groundwater is there.
Right.
Possibility is there, but we are adopting this technology, making our life easier. So go for a RO water, that is a better way.
Okay. Melvin Emmanuel is asking, is hydroponics only for the rich? A basket of lettuce sells for rupees 2,000 in Delhi, and it sells for rupees 1,500 a kg in Mumbai. Is something like this sustainable?
Hey, why are you just looking that? You grow for yourself and be happy that I'm eating 1,000 rupees kg lettuce at my own farm. So that's the way I'm looking this. Definitely, it is so far not that much sustainable. But yes, wherever the market, one must leverage that market, because if you see our product also, we are also selling at 1,000 rupees a kg, the lettuce, and even the baby spinach also. But we are not saying that yes, I'm selling it. So if the buyer is there, why not I can go for a producing? So it's a very simple thing. If the buyer is ready to pay, yes, you should go ahead. But yes, issue of sustainability is going to be a challenge. But later on, once the more player will come, ultimately the customer is going to get advantage. Until that time, we will also reduce our cost of production, and my production cost is also going to go down. So at that time, I'll be able to handle or supply at a lower rate.
Right. Okay. And I don't have the name of the user here, but this person is asking, can we reuse nutrients? If yes, how many times?
Yeah, I've shared with you. There are two types of system. One is closed system, and another is an open system. So in a closed system, you are recycling your nutrient. You are reusing your complete nutrient. But how many times, it depends on, you have to ask this question to your crop. So I've mentioned that you have to go for a regular cycle of replacing your 100% nutrient solution. And this cycle duration, there is no thumb rule. Suppose your crop is happy with that water for a month, then it is okay, go for a month. If that crop is not happy in 15 days, so replace that cycle. So there is no such limit. And even if you are able to go for a level that you can put your specific nutrient electrode to judge or estimate the quantity of a particular nutrient and add as per the requirement, there is no need for a replacement also. But that skill is required, and that infrastructure is required.
Okay. Mr. Anil Jaina wants to know if this can be done in small balconies for household needs, and is it and what kind of crops can be grown in that balcony?
I think he has mixed that part when we discussed about the crops. So very simple thing. Yes, it can be done in balconies. Very well possible. And yes, any crop can be grown. So you have to look for the options. Suppose you want to grow a guava there. So what is the growing system? You have to go for a big grow bag and put your coco peat and a growing media there, and you can grow your guava also. But most commonly, what people are looking for, they are either going for a salad crops like all leafies, and somehow some cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and all these things. Even sometimes the capsicum also. These are well established crops, so that can be grown, but in a different growing system.
Okay. Saurabh Dubey wants to know, is it important to do it in a protected or a polyhouse atmosphere for hydroponics?
See, if you are doing for your own self, there is no need for a polyhouse. There is no need for creating artificial environment. And I'll only suggest grow the seasonal crop. So during winter, you grow all winter crop. During summer, you grow all the summer crops. Okay. So in that case, there is a no need. And specifically, if we talk about while taking up that myths also I mentioned, hydroponic is a technique which is enabling the grower to create a better microclimate around the root zone. So if we see the plant, root is separate, shoot is a separate. So hydroponic technique only deals with the roots. There is no linkage with the shoot. So if you want to produce off-season crop, and suppose you want to produce a lettuce around the year, then definitely you need to have the protected structure for the commercial project. But for the hobby purpose, never go for any protected structure.
Okay, thank you. Rohit Nirlekar wants to know more about the type of light and what is the requirement, the specifications, and the color of light that we need to put in when it's a commercial project.
Yeah, Rohit, I don't have a much exposure on the light, so I'll not comment on that much. But yes, based on my limited exposure and trial what we conducted at our farm, the light is a requirement for your plant. So one thing is very clear, that photosynthetic active radiation is the only requirement for your crop. So I don't have any experience of why these are different colors of light. Because if you see the spectrum 400 to 700 is spectrum, so that the light should be in between that 400 to 700. Within that, for every crop, you need to adjust the spectrum. So if you want, maybe I can connect with the guys who are dealing in this artificial light business. So with whom you can further get the clarity.
Okay. Mr. Stephen Raj wants to know, how does software work in hydroponics?
So somehow he took the software term in a different way. If I'm saying the hardware and software, it is not a IT hardware and software. I'm just somehow correlating with that. So hardware of hydroponics is all the infrastructure like greenhouse, growing system and all. And software of hydroponic is how to grow your crop. Means what should be the crop, what should be the variety, when to plant, when to irrigate, what is the nutrient combination. So all these things comes under a software. Okay, so this is something relation to hydroponics. If you, at all your background of question is how this growing software are helping or required for hydroponics, so definitely you as a grower have to set that, and after that, that software is going to give you kind of an autopilot mode. That's how this play a crucial role. So after maybe something like a 3-4 cycle or a 1 year, you can put your whole system on autopilot mode. The software that I used to say that these machines, the idiot machines, they will follow your instruction. So I always call this computer and everything is the idiot machines. They will just follow the instruction. So for that also you need to get the information and set that software right. And after that, yes, your life is very easy, like mine is now. I don't have any headache for my crop. It is all on autopilot mode.
Mr. Ravindra wants to know, I have a roof balcony of 10 by 10 feet size. I want to grow leafy vegetables like coriander, methi and palak. Would that be a good plan?
Yeah, it is absolutely good plan. But yeah, coriander is not that good doing even coriander, methi and even Palak is the only which is doing good in NFT system. So for your crops, whatever you are talking about, maybe you can go for a soil-less hydroponics and set a small bags or whatever, or maybe trenches, or maybe you can do your own arrangement of putting the growing media in any container and grow your crop. Definitely you can.
Okay. Rohit wants to know, can we grow all leafy vegetables in a single system, or is there a combination of leafy vegetables that can go together? Is it something like that?
See, if the prospect of a question is a hobby gardening, answer is yes. If the prospect of question or a background of a question is a commercial hydroponics, then you have to group some of the crops, like all the lettuce like romaine and butterhead and leafy, loloroso. These can be grown in a same system. And up to some extent, you can also think for growing arugula also. And yeah, if you want to go for just see chalta hai, so then even you can grow a kale as well as basil also in it. But yes, for a large scale commercial project, you have to go for a separate setup for basil and kale, and rest you can grow in an active system, because basil and kale is good performing good on a soil-less as compared to NFT.
Mr. Manoj Kumar Soni wants to know, what is the best media for hydroponics?
The best media is whatever is not interfering your growing system and means growing technique or a crop. And yes, it is helping you to provide a better microclimate around the root zone. So having said that, the growing media selection is also depends on, one thing is the cost, and the second thing is what crop you are growing. So far in hydroponic, the coco peat mixed with the perlite is well established growing media. But if you can find out something which is having the similar quality and test, which is locally available, like if you talk about this coco peat, getting coco peat in Delhi or in a northern part of a country, it is pretty costly affair, because it is produced in the south and we ship everything to north. So if you can find out any growing media which is inert in nature, having a potential of retaining moisture and air, these are three criteria. And based on that, you can test any media, even maybe paddy husk also can be used. Even people have tried the paddy straw also. So if you can just switch over to that, the locally available growing media, hey, again, I just caution you, you have to start with the trial. Don't try to do a large scale project on means the new kind of a growing media. So if you are going for a commercial project, yeah, coco peat and perlite is the best, but you simultaneously have to do your trial and try some local kind of a growing media with three things. One is having potential to hold the moisture, air, and inert in nature. They should not have any potential to supply plant nutrient to your crop.
Right. Okay. Mr. Ravindra wants to know, since there is continuous feeding of nutrients, will there be a pre-harvest interval to fertigate to avoid residues in the produce? Further, can you throw some light on pest management in hydroponics?
Okay, one is something like a residue. अगर आपके उसमें फसल में residue हो रहा है या imbalance हो रहा है, so you are not the good grower. So it is required your skill, as I mentioned while taking up that fertilizer section. You have to start with very low EC, the salt concentration, and gradually take it to a level where your crop is the happiest one. And if you are able to talk, or if you're able to understand that plant behavior, then definitely you will be able to understand that what is the best EC. And if you achieve that, there is a no question of residual effect. One for fertilizer, and fertilizer residue is never being measured even for the export producer also. It is always measured the minimum residue level for harmful chemicals. So if you are doing this hydroponics, and that too is on a commercial scale, my only suggestion and submission is follow the preventive measures. Never use any harmful agrochemical. That is the weapon used by the unskilled people. I'm very blunt on saying that. Often means one or twice in a year, if you have something serious problem and you are using that harmful agrochemical, it is fair enough. But if you are regularly using and doing hydroponics, it's not at all advisable. So the precaution, like, you have to control the places where your host for pathogen, like the weed outside of your greenhouse, outside your growing area, there these pathogen, they build up. So continuously you spray around, in and around your growing area, that is specifically the greenhouse. But never use these things inside the greenhouse. And suppose you are growing any short duration crop, follow a straight philosophy that, okay, I will discard my plant who is suffering. So no something like kind of sympathy with the plants who are suffering. Very straight philosophy. If he is something suffering because of insect or pest or disease, take him out from your commercial growing. So that's my suggestion for managing the pest and residue.
Okay. Saura wants to know which crop a beginner should start growing to learn the NFT system of farming.
Always go for a low hanging fruits. आसानी से जो आपको मिल जाए उसी को लपक लो. So these are something kind of all lettuce can be grown very well. To begin with, start with the lettuce, and that too is a winter season. For learning, start in a winter season. Don't take a challenge, means one challenge you want to learn the growing, and you are growing in a something off season. Summer mein agar aap lettuce grow karne ki koshish karoge, it will be a tough. So learn during the season, in a winter season, and lettuce is the one of the best crop, and you can learn and then you can expand.
Sure. Subhajit Sinha wants to know more about IoT and smart automations in hydroponics and urban farms.
Yes, that is somehow is an area where youngster can contribute, because and even not only they can contribute, they have to associate with the grower, because IoT designer is very good on giving the command, on translating the information, but he is not good at what the crop is looking for. So you need to have a good combination of a good grower, experienced grower, and with a person who is an IT expert. Then that is the need of the hour.
Right.
Like means if you can come up with some dynamic programming for any small means hobby farm. So say for example, you can create some system where your system can sense that moisture is getting down, and switch on that pump, and if the salt concentration is going down, switch on the fertilizer pump. So if you can just do that dynamic kind, because static programming is there. If the moisture is going down, then you just do for 5 minutes. So that static programming is there. But if you can do that dynamic programming, that is the need. And in that, if you can minimize the involvements of that particular customer, means that something like a urban farm guy who want to have a small unit at his place. So if you can just minimize his manual intervention and make it automated, you have such a huge business that you cannot even imagine.
Right. Pallavi Roy wants to know if coconut water is ever used for hydroponics.
Hey, I think you are a rich guy. Yes, definitely. See, it is something like, again, you have to see that what is the purpose of using that water. I am sure that the minerals and nutrients are there in the coconut water, but again, the philosophy or the requirement of hydroponic is you need to be very clear that, okay, I want to feed my plant with this set of a nutrient. So any kind of interference in that process is not allowed. So indirectly, yes, the cost is a one factor, and indirectly, as a good grower, you should not use that.
Living Roots wants to know, if a plant is infected by insects, should we get rid of the plant, or can we just get rid of the pest?
Oh, as maybe I've answered earlier also, it's a very simple philosophy. You should get rid of that suffering plant, and your eyes should be so critical that the moment you enter in a growing zone, you can identify, that guy at the corner is struggling, and I need to go there, understand, and if it is really struggling, take him out. If you are that crucial observer, I used to talk about, you need to capable enough talking to your plant. Talking means it is not a literal talking, how are you and all those things. The moment you enter on your commercial growing zone, you should be capable enough that identifying, that guy is struggling. And if you are that crucial and that good in observation, and it is a very common sense, the moment you enter, try to see whether your plant is happy or not. And if you are that critical observer, then definitely there will not be a problem. Only few plants will be infested because of any pest or disease, and you can control that at a very early stage. And in that case, discarding those plants is the best option.
So thank you so much, sir. And that's the end of the question answer session. That's the end of our questions that came in the chat box. So anybody who wants to get in touch with Dr. Praveen, you can go on to his Telegram group, that is Hydroponics Khetibadiwala. So we have more than 200 participants there, and everybody sharing their knowledge and answering each other's question. And there's a community of hydroponic growers there, hobbyists as well as commercial growers. So you can all join that Telegram group if you're into hydroponics. And Dr. Praveen, if you could give your contact details for anyone who wants to write to you or get in touch with you on the telephone, please go ahead and give your contact details, sir.
I have already shared that now in the presentation. If you're going to share that presentation, so yes, it is there. Okay. It is here, and yeah. So I'll suggest whatever you learn in this short 1 hour. I try to put all the videos there on the YouTube channel also, and I proudly say that Khetibadiwala, and wherever you see the Khetibadiwala, I'll be there. So I put many videos there on the YouTube. Most of your doubt I try to address there. And if you have some more queries, I'll be happy to take up those whenever you want to share that. And as Chitra said, that the Khetibadiwala group on Telegram, it is not belongs to me. Even one of the guys who are like these guys are present here, he emphasized me, why can't you just create a group? So I said, it's okay, you go and create. So if you see, the owner of that group is different. He has made me host, but the owner of the group is different. But yes, I'm always available for any kind of technical support. My will and wish, and always I'm ready for ensuring the success or successful project of hydroponics. So thank you, Chitra, giving me an opportunity to interact with such a lovely participants.
Thank you so much to Dr. Praveen for joining us and sharing his expertise with us. And thank you to all the participants who took your time off on a Saturday afternoon to join us and to know more. So the video will go on YouTube on our channel, Our Phoenix Academy. And you can ask your friends to watch it if they've missed the webinar. And I have given the feedback link in the chat box. By clicking the link, it will take you to a feedback form, and by filling that, you will get your certificate of participation. So see you all next Saturday with a new webinar with a new topic. Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.